I've used this team since Season 3 of Go Battle League, and it still feels like it's doing alright, even in the current meta. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna jump into 2 sets of battles here. So I was messing around in the Go Battle League over the weekend, and I was trying out different teams, and I couldn't really figure out something that I liked. I'm not a big fan of running meta picks if you're new here. So instead of making a new team, I decided to revisit this old team that I built back in Season 3, which was initially meant to deal with Azumarill leads, but you may have seen on this channel I have multiple videos. If there's a Tentacruel or a Scrafty on the thumbnail, there's a really good chance it's showcasing this team. But I wanted to show these battles that I had from Go Battle weekend. I took a break after the weekend just because I was feeling a little burnout between all of the Go Battle League battles I did over the weekend, and then I was also doing Kitakami, Prologue, and Scarlet and Violet. I've been pumping out a lot of content on all these channels. It's been nuts. But yeah, I really appreciate you being here. Also, hit that like button if you're watching. It does help my content reach a wider audience here on YouTube. But yeah, this team is wild. I mean, at first glance, you might, if you're new to my channel and you're looking at this, you might be noticing I'm running Confusion on Cresselia, which you might be thinking, that's such a bad energy gaining move for Cresselia. And one of the reasons why I like running Confusion on this team is the synergy it creates with Acid Spray, and also it helps with matchups that typically Cresselia couldn't win. So yeah, there are certain matchups we're going to lose because we're running Confusion over Psycho Cut, but at the same time, there's also scenarios where we can actually farm down where we would have just blatantly lost. I mean, there's like scenarios with Venusaur, for example, or Victory Bell, where we can come in on it and just completely farm down those Pokemon and have energy. So yeah, I kind of was just getting into the explanation of everything, but in this battle, we get a Medicham lead, which is very common, but when I get the Medicham lead, what I've been doing with this team is I safe swapped a Tentacruel. Tentacruel can actually take one Psychic to the face, but I decided it might be better to reserve my HP for now. And they do make a switch here into Pelipper, and I mean, that's a good call. I honestly like throwing Scald in this scenario a lot of times on Pokemon that I know they won't shield, because we can sometimes get a decent chunk of damage off, which in this scenario, as long as we shield the Hurricane, then we're golden. If they bait, then it's a little more dicey, but a lot of times these Pelipper aren't gonna risk baiting, it feels. So yeah, as long as we win the switch there, this is solid, because we're not actually trying to use Tentacruel to beat Medicham. Our best way to handle Medicham on this team is our Cresselia. So here was a little rough for me to switch out. I was trying to catch a move, I suppose, and definitely a little dicey to do it this way, but I'm gonna just try to farm down and do as much damage with Cresselia as I can. I guess my logic here was thinking, you know, we really just gotta chip a lot of damage on the... I mean, pretty much the Medicham can't one-shot Scrafty. So, Medicham being so low is actually a winnable scenario for Scrafty, even though it's not ideal. Unless they're running Dynamic Punch, which I have seen occasionally. But yeah, in this match, we actually still win, which is kind of crazy how that ended up playing out. But let's see here. So yeah, hard counter here in the beginning. They switch in Venusaur, and this is what I'm talking about. Because typically when Cresselia comes in on a poison type, it doesn't have ways to actually deal with it properly, because unless you're running Future Sight, which you're probably not going to if you're running in this in open, you don't have an actual way. You're not going to be able to do enough damage with Psycho Cut, and the Grass and Fairy coverage can't do damage to poison types. But with Confusion, I can actually win those poison matchups. So we're facing Logan here. I actually have met this guy in person, I think at NAIC recently. So he actually plays this match pretty decent. I stay in and go for the foul play. It's really important that when we win the lead, we try to keep alignment as best as we can. But there's one game-changing play in this entire match that flips the entire match for my opponent. So yeah, we just got for Grass Knot in on the Frostlass, and they end up bringing back in their Umbreon. So when I was playing this originally, I was thinking, okay, this is good. We have alignment. I mean, we'll go for a Moonblast into Umbreon. More than likely, they're just going to take it to the face. And we just have to bring in Scrafty once our Cresselia goes down. But there is one play that ends up costing me the match here, and I'll show you So I want to shoot. It's really important. Like, I don't know at the moment what their backline is. So obviously in hindsight, it's easier to realize what I should have done. But right here where I didn't shield last resort, it's actually pretty crucial that I did shield that and let my Scrafty get off some damage here on Umbreon, or at least force it to go for 2 last resorts. And the main reasoning behind that here is actually because in this scenario now, we're actually taking too much damage on our Tentacruel that we shouldn't need to take. See how much damage we're taking? It would have been so much better to just shield Scrafty and force them to go for a second last resort. And we've got a decent chunk of damage off with counter. Because, look, they have Azumarill in the back. And if you know anything about Tentacruel versus Azumarill, which was the whole reason this team was designed, is to be an ABB line into Azumarill. My Cresselia is like my soft Azu check, and then my hard counter is my Tentacruel. So because I was so low on health, I couldn't actually play the Azumarill match properly. So GG's there, for sure. But we definitely could have had a better chance of flipping that matchup and securing the win if we at least kept our Scrafty alive. If I would have known they had Azu in the back, I would have definitely wasted my shield. Not wasted, but I would have used my shield on that last resort, knowing that we don't need shields for Tentacruel against Azumarill. So, okay. In this matchup, we have our safe swap Tentacruel in on Lantern, and I'm just going to let it go. And I think what I decided to do is bring in Scrafty and just get a little bit of a farm down here on Lantern. So, yeah, I mean, we could potentially have shielded Thunderbolt and tried to get Poison Jab down, but I also didn't think that was necessary. In comes Shadow Venusaur. I'm going to go for the foul play. They end up shielding, and now it's really a matter of, am I in a good position or not? So in this, because they stay in briefly, I thought, okay, this is actually not too bad for me then. And they end up having Lopunny in the back, which is very unique. I mean, I was not expecting a Lopunny here at all. But I also didn't think there's anything Lopunny could do here that was too threatening. I knew they were more than likely going to throw triple Axel here on the very first move. So I just let them go through, and at this point, I'm in a pretty solid scenario. I know that the fast attack is double kick, and yeah, they just let it go, and it's just a matter of farm down. So understand that confusion damage is huge in this scenario. But yeah, there's our first set here. Let's jump into our next set. All right. Yeah, I mean, this team is really hard to use. People tell me occasionally that they try this team out and they have success with it and they really enjoy playing it. But I'm not going to deny that this team is very hard to get used to if it's something that you're trying to experiment with for the first time. I mean, Scrafty plus Tentacruel is an amazing core. I personally feel like some sort of Scrafty and Poison type works really well in Great League. But Confusion Cresselia is a tricky Pokemon to try to use properly. I mean, it's not the same as if you were running Psycho Cut. I mean, you could try using Psycho Cut with this team, but I feel like that in itself opens up a pretty big weakness. I mean, even Pokemon like Galvantula can really pose a problem to this team. Like Charbug, Galvantula can be very scary for this team to deal with. And, oh my gosh, the Carbink. So Carbink teams in general with this team, I've had some luck beating them, sometimes not able to effectively, but I've been trying to figure out how to play around these Carbink teams a little better. So in this scenario, we end up bringing in Scrafty. It might have been a good decision to go for foul play here because more than likely they're not going to shield. The thing about these Pokemon, this team consists of a lot of bait potential, Power Up Punch, Acid Spray. A big part of how this team can really do well is knowing that most of the time people are going to expect you to go for Power Up Punch or Acid Spray, and to do the opposite. A lot of times people will not shield Tentacruel at all, and even though there's, like, say you get like a Superior in, and at times Acid Spray is just better because of the amount of damage you can gain faster, but if you go for Scald and get an attack drop, Tentacruel can actually take Frenzy, at least one Frenzy plant to the face. So yeah, GG's extremely close match here. I definitely had some good matches against Carbinks on my stream if you want to check out any of my live streams from Go Battle Weekend. But yeah, very chill week for me. I haven't really been playing my sets, and I've been meaning to make a video here about this team because, you know, it's not a new team from my channel, but I was actually kind of shocked that I was able to get to like 2600 elo running this team, especially with like the way the current meta seems to be developing. This team feels crazy to actually do good with. So I just had to show it off. I mean, it's one of my favorite teams to play in Great League, and it makes me happy to know that I can still play it and enjoy it on this level. So yeah, I hope you enjoy watching this team. I hope you enjoy maybe potentially trying this out. I mean, I'm not like, I understand why people are running a lot of the teams I'm seeing with Metacham, Sableye. I understand. It's just that I'm just not a fan of playing these teams. I mean, I'd rather not hit Legend than play some of these teams. Like, I don't know, it's just, it's so boring. Like, when I'm facing the same team every single battle, and that's the part of like where I'm at. Like, I took a couple seasons off of Go Battle League because I was getting kind of bored with the way the game was, and I think, I don't know if I've like openly said this on any of my videos, but I've actually enjoyed playing the more niche metas recently, and I feel like in the past, I used to not like them as much because I felt as if they were more rock, paper, scissors the way the matchups would play out. But it seems that, wow, that was such a crazy match. What did they have in the back? But yeah, I had some pretty insane wins with this team over the weekend, and I was really happy about that. So in this scenario, we get the Gligar, and I'm going to try to catch a move here on my Cresselia. And I figured it's probably better to at least shield the dig. And this is another situation. I mean, granted, maybe with Psycho Cut and getting energy, it could be a little bit better to try to get some shields. But there's so many scenarios where Confusion plus Acid Spray, or even just having Confusion, has been pretty clutch. There's been matchups where people have 2 shields in the end, and it doesn't matter because I can just farm down Metacham with Confusion. I can farm down the Venusaur, even Trevenant. There's sometimes a safe swap where they'll take the Moonblast to the face, maybe not realizing I'm running Confusion right away, and then I can just double shield or shield and farm down with Confusion and flip switch. So there's definitely an element of maybe people aren't paying attention correctly, and maybe they think I have more energy than I typically do. It's hard to truly know, but I do feel that I enjoyed running this team primarily because it's found me success over multiple seasons, and I think at the same time it's important to try to play these type of formats where people aren't just operating with expectations. So I wanted to show this set primarily because of the way this battle plays out. So it starts, like, what is with that? Yeah, that battle was a weird glitch. It didn't seem though it counted for a loss, but I'm not sure what was going on with that match. So in this next battle, we get a Shadow Swampert lead, and this is actually not a bad scenario for Scrafty. It's not good either, I will admit. The Hydro Cannons hit way harder, but it really depends on how this plays out. So I throw the foul play. I don't really like baiting in this scenario, even though it might be the better call if they do shield. But thankfully they don't shield, and fortunately we just pretty much threatened that. I think we just removed it, actually. In comes the Gligar, and I safe swap into my Tentacruel. I'm going to shield dig, and I'm going to throw a Scald, and they don't shield at all, which I thought was absurd. Maybe they just thought I was going to bait, and they didn't want to fall for it. But yeah, now it's pretty much game over because I can just go for the Acid Spray. I don't even have to worry about shielding, and I can just bring in Cresselia and essentially just go for farm down with Confusion. And that's one thing I really like about this team too. And yeah, they just end up quitting before they even see. They knew it was over. This battle, I think it's, the guy's name is Only Phantoms, and I'll like get back to that later, but I thought it was really interesting how things after this match play out. So I'm going to safe swap here into my Tentacruel, and I'm going for Scald onto the Diggersby. And I decide I'm just going to let this first move go through. They do run Scorching Sand now. And fortunately, because of the attack drop, I can actually take that first move relatively good. So now I'm just going to go for the Acid Spray. I mean, I probably should have just gone for a double Scald, maybe. But I figured that in this scenario, at least I can probably try to farm down a little bit more with Scrafty and have a lot of energy for Pelipper. So yeah, I'm not even going to shield. They do throw Hyper Beam. I thought that was hilarious that I was just able to eat that Hyper Beam. You know, like, pretty great. But in comes the Pelipper, and I have pretty close to 2 foul plays. I'm going to throw the first one, and it was really great that they didn't shield, because we get off that chip damage, And then they bring Greedent, which honestly, we got very lucky with this attack drop because now I know that I can just take one of the crunches to the face relatively easily. And honestly, with our scenario, we're in a really good position. I decide I'm going to just commit a shield and I'm going to threaten this Greedent and try to get their final shield because I knew I was so close to a foul play on Scrafty that I was kind of like, alright, well, whatever happens here is good because if I eat a crunch, then I can live and go for foul play into the Pelipper. I will commit a shield on the Weather Ball, and this way I can just go for foul play immediately. So yeah, that's going to be a win here. And yeah, that's pretty much GG. That should be another 4-1 here with this team, which definitely got me some decent elo gains, but I will admit that it's been back and forth here in Great League. But yeah, we got a Fantup reward. That's what I wanted to show you. Like, that was crazy that their name was called only Fantups, and then we actually found a Fantup. Pretty crazy. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this video. Definitely consider subscribing if you like GBL content. And with that being said, the Sass Squad is getting stronger each and every day. Have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one. It would really mean a lot to me if you watched this video or this video to help my content reach a wider audience here on YouTube.